Afternoon. Can I wake up some of you guys? Or everybody in the drowsy mode? After the Flipkart, I'm sure you guys should be waking up or woken up by now. So my talk won't be like Flipkart in the context of all the wonderful thing in e-commerce. But what I'm going to tell you is, how can you start ordering on Flipkart using machines? Right? That will be an interesting thing for you guys, hopefully. But joke aside, I think the key thing that I'm going to talk today in this is, if I can wake you up in one context, which is, I would say 10 to 20% to 50% of all of us in this room will lose our job in the next 10 to 20 years. So hopefully that's a wake-up call for you. So start thinking about what is in your next career, because machines will take over whatever we are doing today. Okay? In that context, let me just give you, so I don't think machine learning is anything different. It's been around. Some of us seen HAL when we were young kids, and we have heard about Star Wars, all the things. And even Turing predicted it back in 1950s and 60s that if something can be done by humans, machines can do that. But are we truly at that evolution of a machine learning? I don't think so yet. Right? And that's what we'll talk about in my presentation. But we did make quite a bit of advances, and I want to give you an example of which industries we made advances, which industries we did not. But the context of true artificial AI and machine learning, we are quite far off from that. So earlier, one of the speakers mentioned it, and Piyush also mentioned it. So you guys have seen what happened with the Go game. Go is a very complex game, requires computationally a lot of different moves to be computed, unlike chess. And for AlphaGo, which is Google's machine to beat that, that's a great thing in artificial intelligence and AI, machine learning. The reason they're able to do that is, since all of you guys are familiar with the cloud, with Amazon and Azure and Google, it can computationally launch more instances dynamically. I mean, that is a beauty and the sadness of where we are today is, not only these are machine learning algorithms, these are computationally launched. For example, they could launch 1,000 machines in less than a minute. I mean, if you're doing at that level, even Alan Turing will come back from the grave, right? Think of what can be done as a completely NP-complete problems, right? All the hard problems that Piyush talked about. You don't need to have human beings to sit and solve it now, right? All the hard computations, you can throw pure machines at these problems. How many problems can you solve by throwing 10 to 1,000 machines in less than a minute? And you again take it back, right? So you don't have to worry about, is my algorithm being optimal? I have to solve the problem correctly, right? So there is a school of thought here, which is if you can throw data at it, even if you are an algorithm which is an average or mediocre, eventually you'll come to the same consistent state. And that's what the AlphaGo is trying to show you here, right? So with that, what are their roles for the modern day problems? What problems do you think we can solve with machine learning? Where is it solvable and where is not, right? So 3 or 4 points that I noticed through my career, and I think it's important, is automation. Wherever there's an automation, it's clearly be replaced by machine learning and AI, right? Second would be skilled people. Wherever there's a lack of skilled people, right? When there's a demand, and I'll give you an examples of in the IT operations and cybersecurity is an example. The SOC that you guys envision today will be replaced with machines. That is all the networking operation centers, security operation centers. It will not be run anymore with people. Like if you walk into most centers today, you'll have 100 to 1,000 people running these SOCs, including call centers. They all will disappear in the next 5, 10 years. And that's how people are betting on it. So where is first of all, there's a lack of skilled people there, and the problem still exists. So that means industry is going to find ways to do it with algorithmically. Then predictive analytics. It's very hard. If you know what you're going to do the best, you must be the best in everything, right? So if you are a CEO, if you are a manager of any group, if you rely on your inherent intrinsic knowledge and with your team knowledge, you must be the best team. But you know what? You want to know what the data is telling you about the future. That's where the predictive analytics is coming. Most CEOs I talk to, what they say is, I don't know what my team is telling. I want to know what the algorithms are saying, what my data is saying. That concept of predictive analytics will drive machine learning a lot. The last two ones are solving complex hard problems, like the Go problem I talked about, where computationally very intensive. You don't want to give that to a human being, because we think very linearly. Machines will think very non-linearly, particularly the problems that requires multi-dimensionals, multi-vectors, and require probabilistic approaches. Human beings are not good at solving those. So anything which we would have thought as NP-complete problems, I can throw enough machines to come to a better state than what happened in the good old traveling salesman problem, to clustering problems, to topological problems. So all of those hard problems will be solved in computer science using machine learning. And the last one is, take the example of nano trading. If you think you want to react in the span of microseconds, milliseconds, there's no point having a human being in traders. So that's what happened in both in Chicago and New York. All the trading is moved by hedge funds to nano trading. Most of the trading, volume-wise, is done by the algorithms today. They exploit both the up and down, the trading there on the activity side, right? That's happening today. That's the age we live today. So if you have to step back and say what questions you want to think about to ask, right? One of the things that I tell people is, first think about the markets and use cases where machine learning is really applicable. There will be still some use cases with the current technology. It may not be in 2016. Maybe in 2030 it may be applicable, right? Also look at where can we coexist. Are these algorithms trying to augment us or trying to replace us? There are definitely some areas they are replacing it. There are some areas where they could make us better and they augment us. Right? So these are a list of questions for anybody to think through as you are creating a solution in this context of conference where you are looking at digital transformations. If you're making a digital transformation, might as well talk about, should I do it with a traditional rule-based systems, a client-server architecture, or should I do it with the machine learning architectures? And machine learning went through 3 revolutions. There may be more as of now, right? The first revolution was in the 19th century where what I call the dirty jobs were taken over by machines. Then became the dull jobs, right? Things that where you wanted to automate, the call centers, and that's the stage we are in. The next evolution will be the decisions. They will decide for us. And that's happening today, I mean, including trading to some areas like security, and some other spaces. They are making the decisions. And that is where we should think about where you want to go as a business, particularly for the industries like e-commerce industry, healthcare industry. And I'll give you various examples in these spaces, right? So there is a famous word that Mark Andreessen talked about, software is eating the world. I say machine learning is going to eat the world. Be prepared for it. And I'm not trying to joke. I mean, seriously, each of us should think about any job that you do which is dull, autonomous. You should think about how an assistant can replace that as an algorithm, right? And there's an opportunity for an entrepreneur, there's an opportunity for a business person to see how you can evolve here and how you can create systems here. There's also a different school of thought. Like, for example, Microsoft CEO Satya talks about why every business should be thinking about from a data business. When you talk to most organizations, there's a new role created called CDO, Chief Data Officer. The purpose is if your business has collecting the data, any digital data, why are you relying on asking your product manager, your business analyst, your exec team on what you want to do? What is your data telling? If you're Starbucks today, if you're Nike today, you should be able to tell you which stores are selling, which stores you want to shut down, which employees to keep, which sales guy is performing well. Where is the data and where are the insights? And there's a new role evolving already. Most CEOs already are creating a role called CDO. Now the question is that CDO will be a human being or will that be an algorithm that's giving the data at the staff meeting, right? That's the role that people are talking about, getting the insights and intelligence to make the business decisions on a day-to-day, on an hour-to-hour basis. So what does it mean? So the business will go through multiple transformations. We are talking about digital businesses transformation that we are going through. That will become what I call autonomous businesses. There will be some businesses will be run by machines. And there will be some, I call it algorithmic businesses. I gave you examples of trading, security. In healthcare, there are businesses out there, right? If you are not using already algorithms and machine learning in what shape and form, you should. And when you do this, don't do it with the rules. Let the system be self-learning systems. And you can build it with supervised learning, unsupervised. There are various flavors how you want to build it. But that's the growth that you should think about. Instead of doing a crossing the chasm from the current business to digital transformation, go all the way to an algorithmic business. Now, an example of an algorithm business will be you have to think about in terms of complexity. You have to think about in terms of state. Can it make decisions? Can it act? Or is it giving that information back to a human being? In some cases, it will be. In that case, it will be a coexistence. In what cases can you coexist? In what cases can it act on its own? Can it shut down machines? Can it take its own decisions? And AlphaGo is an example of that. It was not telling another person who will take a decision. So here is a view of the Gartner. Gartner thinks by 2018, at least 10% of the human jobs that we are doing will be replaced or will be augmented by the machines across all these fields, from consumer banking, teller machines, all the way down to including technology, infrastructure management problems, risk, fraud. What used to be a fraud business risk is mainly algorithm-driven. There are companies like Palantir which have innovated this business on money laundering, fraud detection. You don't need as many analysts trying to look at that fraud and risk, what used to be a people business, right? And that's today in 2016. Imagine where you can take this technology for the next 5-10 years. So this is Gartner's view. I call this as a very conservative view. And I'll give you another view later on, which shows much more aggressive view. So what does this mean? If you look at what we have seen it happening in the machines, already we are living in the age, at least in California, we are living in the age Google driverless cars. That's going all the way down to, you have seen assistants from Amazon Echo to Cortana from Microsoft, right? So even there is some kind of a transition going on already as we speak for the last 4 or 5 years. And it's going to get accelerated even more further. And these are the areas that I see that are going to get accelerated. Like, I don't know how many of you guys follow the Google, there's a Google Cloud event going on today and tomorrow, right? If you see it today, they have already published what I call a Google Translate API. They'll translate any language to any language. They have a Vision API. They have a Google Predict API. Even if you look at their own businesses from Gmail to what properties they're using machine learning, Jeff Dean already published a very nice list of that. Right? You can actually use those APIs to make a business. There's a Google Predict API. See how often it's going to be right or wrong. Any picture that you want to do that earlier Piyush talking about taking that, I would use that picture to take advantage of that. Somebody else's cloud is running that service, it comes back with an answer to you. And if you now take it, so what has to happen in ad tech and e-commerce? Originally, machine learning started with ad tech world. Slowly, other businesses like retail, e-commerce, and business like marketing automation started adopting it. But it's going to expand a lot. There are in no industry that I can think of today cannot use machine learning. So let's talk about the aggressive view of some famous VC venture capitalist, Vinod Khosla. Vinod thinks 50% of jobs today will disappear. So unlike other industries that have created here, every revolution that we went through client server, we went through mainframe, we went through cloud and the mobile, each of them ended up creating more jobs. Unfortunately, machine learning will take away jobs. So how that, as a society, are we going to react? What are these guys whose jobs are lost, what are going to do to? You have to think about all of that, right? And he's actually highlighted in his report, out of the 702 job functions, 47% of them are being eliminated, automated fully, including VCs. He talked about doctors being eliminated. I see that in press releases. A lot of press releases today by Associated Press are written by machines. You guys should check it out, which press is written by human being versus this. Because we won't read it, they actually put a fictitious name sometimes. Same thing on the legal. Contract management to legal management, it's all been done by algorithms today. If you go talk to Wilson Sonsini, to Fenwick and West. So there are so many different areas that's being automated. It's scary. But earlier to my statement, we are not there at true evolution. We are probably in the beginning, chapter 1 or round 1 of a 10-round match. But it's happening much faster than I think. Now, there are multiple ways to do machine learning, right? So people think of machine learning as just a rule-based. Don't think of statistics is not machine learning. There are wonderful different approaches today. There's something called where you train a data set like in Vision API that Google did, which is called supervised, and you have a data set. You have unsupervised. You have semi-supervised. Then you have Markovian approaches. You have probabilistic approaches. You have full neural networks. Any combination, underneath, if you double-click, there will be 20, 30 different flavors you can implement. So any function that if you can give me that is written in certain rules and functions can be mapped, and using this can be done in some way. Whether it's you have to take it to the automation or not is a separate question. It's a decision that you are comfortable or not. But in terms of performing the functions, definitely machine learning can solve most of the problems in this industry today. I want to drill down another example of a security which is close to me. Like, for example, if you take in security today, I mean, Ted Schlein already talked about machine learning is going to revolutionize security. And it's already happening. When we are out there talking to customers, what used to happen, what is perimeter security, it's almost like people want to use machine learning to do immunization. They want us to detect threats that people couldn't have detected. Before, if you know what you're asking the question, you can support your security. Today, the algorithm will find what are the threats, who are the actors, who is involved, where is the attack coming from. Now, do you want that time, at that point, the algorithms to come back and tell you? Then the data would be lost. By the time it detects and informs a person, the data is sitting in China or Syria already. Right? It goes to some Dropbox box, so nobody's willing to take a risk on that. So if you go talk to the Pentagon, for the first time, Pentagon and Secretary Ash Carter offered it, hacking the Pentagon. You get paid to hack Pentagon. What great news is that, right? If you have free time, go and hack the Pentagon. They'll pay you, right? Because they've been attacked by the other countries. You're not going to sit and fight a war with China and Russia when they're throwing the armies to fight the cyber war. Now the question is, where do you want to take this cyber war? From a pure detection all the way to it's going to be a defensive game or offensive game, right? I think it'll be an offensive game. So there are a lot of enough policy people from Congress and Senate thinking about why should the companies be restricted from doing a defense when they can attack? Can you attack the hacker again? Hack the hacker concept. Attack the countries all over. So there is that policy decisions are going on. Legally, we are not supposed to today, but that will change. So all this is happening because the algorithms can detect and fight the war. They're ready to go at this point. Now the question is, with this comes a very serious responsibility. We have to be careful, and there's a whole school of thought about how you want to apply it, when do you want to apply it, etc. Now, this opens up a question, where are we in the computing curve? In our revolution of last Silicon Valley, we went through 3 revolutions: mainframe, client server, cloud. What is the next revolution going to be called? Is that a machine revenue? Is it going to be data-driven computing? What type of computing is that going to be? How is that going to change the world, right? Some people are calling it, this could be purely machine learning computing or data-driven computing, but something is different though. It's not the cloud. Cloud is still 10 years old. We are off the cloud and mobile wagon right now. And this is going to be the next 10 years. After that, there will be another revolution. But definitely, it's no longer a mainframe, client-server, traditional cloud computing evolution we are in. We are in a data-driven evolution. So people don't want to talk about machines. Nobody wants to talk about the containers. You want to consume the data, make decisions. That's a new approach if you talk about the Googles and Amazon are doing. If this day and age you're trying to manage your machines and you're looking at your compute, this thing, that's wrong. There are much level higher abstractions you should focus on. Let everything done by the compute layer, by the machines. Now, that opens up another school of thought. Why is open sourcing the machine learning make sense? Ask yourself, companies like Google this is called TensorFlow, Amazon, Microsoft, including Elon Musk from Tesla, launched a project called OpenAI. Why are they open sourcing their algorithms? What is in it for them? Are they doing for humankind? The reason it turns out that there are a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is to make your algorithms better, hoping that the crowdsourcing will evolve your algorithms and collectively we can solve it. Second is the data-driven business concept, which is if you give you 2 choices, a smart algorithm with no data and give you a lot more data but a lousy algorithm, which one will win? It turns out the number 2 will win. Remember I mentioned earlier. So what they want to do is the more they expose their algorithm can be used by multiple places, get trained. That's what they lack. It's not the algorithm quality that matters. It needs to be trained. These machines need to be taught. The reason they're exposing it, they're hoping that all of us can use this and check the updates back into the open source. So algorithms needs data, algorithms need use. That's how they get better at this, right? Including in Department of Defense, DARPA is open sourcing it. When did we hear last time that the Department of Defense doing an open source, right? Because they know that in the military, if they want to survive, they need algorithms which are tested and tried in many use cases. So this tells you that there's an evolution is much broader than what people are planning. It's not a skunkworks project. It's not a small thing. It's a much wider adoption. People are applying it. When people take it to that open source and applying this, it's something major is going on. And there's also a hype cycle. For every hype curve, there'll be something. This is the classical Gartner's hype cycle. If you see on the top, machine learning is on the top right now, right? Very much on the top. So it will go through, down. And it will go through another 5 years of ups and downs. But the question is here, this trend is here to stay. It's going to make us something different. You guys have to watch out which areas will go through ups and downs and when. But it's an opportunity for everybody. Opportunity for entrepreneurs, opportunity for business people, opportunity for everybody to use this to make their businesses better, or collectively, socially, we can make our lives better. But there is also a scary thing that I talked about. It comes with a lot of responsibility. Machine learning can do malfunctions. It can create a war, cyber war. As I talked about, so far security has been playing a defensive role. Once the floodgates are open that you can attack the hacker, are you going to attack the right guy? What if it made a mistake and attacked the wrong country? Right? So where do you draw the line? So I think it can take it there. How far do you want to stretch it? Where do you want to? It's been held by the policies now. And I think this all will change in the next 5-10 years in our lifetime. So it's the greatest time that we are living through where you will see us coexist with them. And hopefully there will be a point where they can do jobs that we do better than us. And they're going to claim that. That should be my end of talk, guys. Hope it was enlightening to you guys or useful. Thank you.